on, Ressa?
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our morning devotional for leaders. Today, I have requested one of my younger brothers and also Pathfinder um, from Pasadena a while back to give us our words of inspiration. Dr. Michael Sacro is a dentist along with his wife, who is also a dentist, up in Billington, Washington. They own a practice there, and they also are members of a lovely Adventist, small Adventist church in Ferndale, where he is one of the elders. So, without due, uh, uh, what is this delay? I will give the time to Michael, Dr. Michael. Thank you so much for being with us today
Oh,
and
thank you so
sharing God's
much.
message.
Yeah, no, thank you, Authoressa. See, I'm gonna be calling her Authoressa because she pretty much knows who I am. So I said if I say anything that's a little bit out of line from what she remembers, she can tell you the truth later on. Okay. Um, you know, as I was trying to figure out what to talk about today, I was looking at my daughter. She's turning 8 in December, and I said, I know God has also instilled wisdom in our children, provided that we've allowed God to help us instill wisdom into them. And so I asked Chloe. I said, "Hey, Chloe, I'm going to be talking to a whole bunch of leaders here that lead the youth. What do you think I should talk about?" And I said, "Well, you're a leader in training," is how I opened it up. And she said, "Well, Daddy, if as a leader in training, if I'm going to talk about leadership, there's a lot of suffering that's involved, and so I would probably remind everybody why they're doing this." I said, "Okay, you're leading because you are you're doing it for God, not for yourself, not for personal gain." And I said, "You know what? That is very awesome. Thank you so much, Chloe. This is what I'm going to talk about with my fellow brothers and sisters tomorrow." All right. And so, I want to open up with a verse here, 1 Peter 5, verse 2. And it says, shepherds are to flock, are to shepherd the flock, or leaders are to shepherd the flock of God willingly, eagerly, not under compulsion or dishonest gain. And so I know that this might sound cliche, but many times we run being discouraged as leaders, forgetting why we're in this role in the first place. And I can tell you this, with the constant prayers of Ateresa and all the other counselors when I was a Pathfinder, they had to deal with a lot with me growing up and not wanting to learn. I could say this, I am humbled to be in front of all you today. And the only reason why I could say yes is because I was led by people such as Ateresa and such as people just like yourselves. And so I want you to remember that you have such a sacred task in front of you. Now, one of the things that I do want to ask, how do you feel that the influence on youth today is going? How do you feel that your influence on the youth and young adults is going? Is it harder now than it was before? Is it? Do you feel that sometimes social media and all these other distractions are getting to them faster than we can? I really feel that way. Sometimes I like to say that, leading us Pathfinders before was a lot easier, but I think it was just in different ways that it was harder. But I feel that, the things that tend to get in between God and our children are things that can get to them faster than we can. And so I believe that our role as leaders, as Pathfinder directors, as adventure directors, is still as relevant and, might I submit, even more important today than it was yesterday. They need us to be closer to them than their devices could ever be. And so, what do we do? Do we fight fire with fire? Do we try to be more more influential? We can, but I think that's only going to go so far if we, just like what my daughter was telling me, forget why we're doing this in the first place. I still believe that Christ's method of influencing or leading is still more superior than the world's algorithm for influencing. And it's a total reversal of how the world operates. Instead of bringing praise to ourselves, we should remember that the suffering that Jesus Christ went through is far more than what we will ever go through as leaders. And I hope that encourages us because God, Christ, He said that if we preach to all the world, if we try to bring more people to Him, He will be there with us all the way to the end of the age. And so we do have a resource, Jesus Christ Himself. And we can talk and ask God, hey, dear Jesus Christ, what did you suffer to bring these people close to you? It, our suffering now pales in comparison to the experience that Jesus has gone through. And so I think, well, that's Jesus Christ. He's the perfect example. But are there any other examples? Matthew 11 says this. It acknowledges John the Baptist as being the greatest born among women, someone who is not 100% God, but is all man. And so let's look into some of his traits, and I'll finish up over here. What are some notable traits? John the Baptist had humility, he had courage, he had a strong sense of purpose, and more than importantly, he lived an entire life of self denial all the way to his execution. And he says in John 3, verse 30, he must increase, he being Christ, of course, but I must decrease. How many times in being a leader do we sometimes forget that Christ must increase and that we must decrease? I know that I've forgotten that time and time again, especially with leading my staff, with trying to set the tone for my office. Every single day for about 11 years, we've met at 7:45 in the morning to set the tone, not just to talk about our patients and not just to talk about our schedules, but to set the tone with positivity. And these people, some are atheists and some are agnostic, and some just believe that there is somewhat of a power, but they're not really close to us. And brothers and sisters, might I submit to you that I've been able to pray with each and every one of these, even our atheists. Just yesterday, I prayed with our atheist member, and she allowed me to pray. But this came with constant exposure, constant talking, and just befriending and leading the team, little by little, to where they can have a better glimpse of who Jesus Christ is. I want to end with a verse here, and it's in Hebrews chapter 11, the end of it, and then going into Hebrews chapter 12. So I'm just going to try to open that right now. Here we go. And in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 32, and this is the hall of faith as we know it. But it says here, and what more shall I say? The author says, I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Japheth, about David and Samuel and the prophets, all these other people. And you know what he didn't mention at all? John the Baptist, who Christ considered the greatest born among women. All right. But these people were commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. Brothers and sisters, fellow leaders, do we realize, have we remembered that sometimes our leadership may result in fruits that we may not even experience? Think about that for a second. I'm happy to submit that one of the fruits of Teresa's labor is talking to you right now. But there will be countless youth who we may not experience that will say yes to Jesus Christ because of things that we've done today. But that's okay, because what it says here in verse 12, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, people that have come before us, leaders that have suffered before us, let us throw off everything that hinders. Let us throw off the discouragement. Let us throw off the things that cause us to focus more on ourselves as leaders than God as the ultimate master guide, as the ultimate adventure director, as the ultimate mentor for these youth and young adults. And I jump to verse 3. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Let us consider the suffering that Jesus Christ has gone through. Let us consider the suffering like people like John the Baptist have gone through. Let us consider the suffering like the leaders who have taught us to be in these positions have gone through. Because the youth and the young adults of today see, they think they see, a summary of life within that device. But if you can get between them and that device and show them the authenticity of what it's like to live life, what it's like to follow Jesus Christ, I think the seeds of leadership and discipleship will be planted in their hearts. And there's nothing more effective and more powerful than the thought of a leader planted into the mind of someone who become a leader someday. Um, I'd like to just close and again say thank you so much for allowing me to not necessarily talk to you all, but at least show you what it was like, or at least the life that I have because of people like Teresa, because of my counselors and Pathfinders, because of my counselors at church. Don't give up. You might have that youth that's is in the valley of decision of whether they're going to follow Christ or not. Your influence is so great. Don't forget it. Don't be discouraged. Thank you.